and welcome to my food and fitness class. Today's topic is the best foods to get healthy and to stay fit. So while we're together today, we'll be learning about which foods to avoid and why, which foods to eat and why, and about the ideal eating times and portions. We're going to learn how to eat in a way that can help you to lose weight, to maintain a healthy weight, to build muscle, and to burn that belly fat. We'll also take time to look into how to prevent and reverse common comorbidities such as heart disease, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, and kidney disease. And we're going to do our best to learn how to clear up eczema, seasonal allergies, acne, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS and other digestive issues, and brain fog and headaches. Food. Food. Food can be our fuel or it can be our poison. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to live to eat or do you want to eat to live? Let's take a look at the foods and the eating habits that can help us to eat to live. And we'll see how they help us to enjoy abundant health. So excess weight is caused by excess fats, empty carbs, and sugar. So it's best to avoid processed foods and to avoid adding the sugars and the oils and the fats to your foods. And it's a very good idea to eat simple whole fruits and veggies and whole grains and legumes to maintain a healthy weight. We can build muscle by eating lots of healthy proteins and carbs from whole food sources is best though. So we've seen the protein ways, but from whole food sources is really best. And when I say whole foods, I mean eating literally, crunch the whole actual food, not a powdered version of the food. So it's the whole thing. All right, so then there's belly fat. That's caused by some of those same excess fats and sugars, which kind of store themselves up as fat. So we can avoid these extra sugars and fats that are going to store up. But a really good tip is to drink diluted apple cider vinegar right before bed. Now this speeds up our metabolism and helps to specifically burn belly fat exceptionally well. So an important tip though, this has to be diluted, otherwise it can be burning to the esophagus. So you have to dilute it about 1 tablespoon to 16 ounces of water. Also another thing, just make sure that you're not brushing right after because it can soften the enamel of our teeth. So just do your best to just swish water right after. So let's move on to some of those comorbidities. So heart disease. Rumor has it that heart disease is caused by anything from cholesterol and saturated fats to sugar and stress. There's a lot of different reasons, a lot of different things people are saying, but really, why not avoid them all? Since only animal products like meat, dairy, and eggs have cholesterol, it's a great idea to just eat mostly plants to dodge that bullet. Then you can also avoid the processed foods that are unnecessarily high in saturated fats. And again, it's good to avoid adding any of those things to your food as well. As far as the stress portion of it, it's good to limit your exposure to stressful places, people, movies, and so on. So then you want to embrace new ways to manage your stress and your emotions, which I have workshops for that as well. So yeah, simple whole food plants and stay stress-free to avoid heart disease. All right, so diabetes. Too much sugar can lead to insulin ineffectiveness or resistance. In other words, diabetes. So it's good to avoid excessive sugars, and when you have that taste for something sweet, just do your best to eat some whole fruits to avoid diabetes. All right, then there's cancer. So cancer can be caused by various food preservatives, other environmental toxins, and things that can trigger the growth of cancerous cells. So it can also be caused by the sun's UV rays and man-made sources of radiation. And it actually can be risky to eat excessive carbon from charred foods. So it's best to avoid long-term direct sun exposure, preservatives, chemical-laden or charred foods, and instead to just cover up with longer clothes to protect your skin and to eat organic foods to avoid cancer. So high blood pressure is often caused by excessive fats, salts, and stress. So it's good to avoid processed foods, which have all those things in that, except for obviously the stress. And it's best to avoid adding those things, that salt and that fat, into your foods via like oil, etc. You want to make sure that you're also limiting your exposure to those stressful people, movies, places, etc. And that you're embracing new ways to manage your stress and your emotions. It's also good to eat those whole plant foods here and to stay stress-free so that you can avoid the high blood pressure. Kidney disease is often caused by a combination of diabetes and high blood pressure. So again, with those, avoid the salt, fat, sugar, and the stress. and make sure eating those whole plant foods and staying stress-free so that you can avoid kidney disease. Then there's those nuisances that we want to clear up, like eczema, allergies, and so on. So eczema. Eczema is an immune response to certain foods or environmental sources, usually things like dairy or legumes or eggs. So in a way, like a type of food allergy type of response. So the foods often get in the bloodstream and into the skin because of something called leaky gut syndrome, which is often caused by wheat. So then, after doing an elimination diet or an allergy test so you can find out what's causing the reaction, be sure to avoid those foods that cause the reaction. And then it would be a good idea to enjoy a gluten-free diet and everything else that is safe and allergy-friendly to eat so that you can keep your skin clear of eczema. All right, seasonal allergies. They're often caused by antibodies which are produced in our bodies. Eating dairy can actually raise the histamine levels and make seasonal allergies worse. Dairy also produces excessive mucus, making for more complications. So it would be a good idea to avoid dairy and even also those dairy substitutes because they're often really high in saturated fats anyway. So it's a good idea to eat a dairy-free diet and to enjoy nutritional yeast for a cheesy flavor to make your seasonal allergies far milder or even non-existent. All right, so acne. Since acne is usually triggered by highly processed foods and other foods that are high in salt, oil, and sugar, it's best to avoid such ingredients and eat a simple whole plant diet. As far as irritable bowel syndrome and other digestive issues, these are often caused by various foods that might aggravate different parts of our digestive system. So after doing an elimination diet and pinpointing which foods are causing the digestive issues, be sure to avoid those foods, plan a plain plant foods diet that has the low acidity, the low gassy foods, whatever is necessary for you that are safe and comfortable to eat so you can avoid those digestive issues. And brain fog and headaches is often caused by processed foods, sometimes excessive salt, and yes, even the gluten. So then avoid the processed foods that are unnecessarily high in saturated fats, avoid adding the salt and the fat to your food, and avoid gluten. So basically, again, that means enjoying that gluten-free diet with whole plant foods so that you can be free of the headaches and be able to be free of the brain fog. Remember, food can be our fuel or it can be our poison. So avoid foods like processed foods, preservatives, chemical-laden foods, gluten, meat, dairy, wheat, added oils and sugars, because as I'm sure you noticed, they're the common culprits that are causing all sorts of complications. To eat to live, eat whole fruits, whole vegetables, whole grains like quinoa, rice, and oatmeal, legumes like seeds, nuts, beans, and lentils, and get organic whenever you can to avoid any unnecessary chemicals and preservatives. So whenever you eat mostly plants, you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, of course within reason. You don't want to overstuff yourself, but really there's not really a big difference of when you eat or how much you eat. So as far as ideal eating times, when you eat mostly plants, you can eat within reason whenever you want. And as far as the ideal portions, when you eat mostly plants, you can eat within reason as much as you want. So there it is. The choice is yours. Are you going to live to eat? Or are you going to eat to live? All right, so I'd love to know, how did you enjoy today's class? And what questions do you have for me? If you'd like, you can let me know in the comments below, or you can save your questions for a support group or for coaching. Either way, I very much look forward to supporting you along your journey. Thank you again for attending, and I hope that you have a blessed day. Hello, and welcome to my food and fitness class. Today's topic is how to stick with healthy eating each day. So our goal today is to learn how to eat healthy without a second thought. So while we're together today, we'll learn how to make provisions to avoid cravings, how to stop emotional eating before it starts, how to be prepared for the grocery store, how to have easy meals at home, and how to enjoy healthy meals outside the home. So first, let's talk about avoiding the cravings. So to avoid the cravings, it's best to stay full. It's hard to fill a cup which is already full. So before you go to the grocery store, it's a really good idea to eat something, lest your eyes be bigger than your belly, and lest your carnal starvation mode kind of kick into gear and make you kind of want to choose all of the high calorie items in the store, which is a real thing. I also encourage you to make it up in your mind to not bring home anything unhealthy. This is your first line of defense so that your home is a place where you can only eat healthy things, and that can be a really good fail-safe. It's also good to have healthy foods for special days stocked up and ready. So healthy versions of the foods that you crave for like date night, for football games, just have those healthy versions of foods ready to go. So you have a healthy snack, you don't have to think, oh, well, let's order out. And you can just stick with those healthy snacks instead. So part of stopping that emotional eating before it starts is having that fail-safe, which is no unhealthy groceries at home. But it's best to also get to the root of the issue too. It's common to use foods to soothe our emotions, like binge eating or binge drinking, unhealthy snacks, etc., that you wouldn't have eaten otherwise. Screens and foods and other people might seem like helpful distractions, and we might feel better in the moment, but the conflict still remains. And when we do this regularly, conflicts can pile up, and then we can feel even heavier of a load to carry. And then we risk encountering even more bigger emotional cravings. So instead of trying to use food to distract from our emotional awareness, the better solution would be to address and resolve our emotions. So the antidote to this is to ask yourself, what do you truly crave? It's not likely anything that you're gonna find while binge eating or binge drinking. You'll likely just find that you crave peace and a resolution. If so, then do your best to stop, feel your emotions, and find ways to resolve it. And of course, you can check out my emotions and relationships classes and workbook to help you out with that. So it's good to be prepared before you go to that grocery store. And again, part of that is eating before you go to the store, lest your eyes be bigger than your belly and your carnal starvation mode kicks into gear. It's also good to have a list full of all those yummy, healthy ingredients that you want to have for each meal. It's also important to be willing to go to more than one store to make sure you get all the extra goodies that will make the meal extra delicious. It's also a good idea to save up and buy things in bulk, like grains and seeds, beans, things like that, to make the most of your regular grocery trips and make those easier. And that way, when you go into the grocery on other days, it's just as simple as picking up a few fruits and a few vegetables. And that can also keep you from having to go multiple places each time. When you go to the grocery store, make sure that you have enough time to read all the ingredients in your foods, or if you like, you can just check them out ahead of time online. Again, you can get those healthy foods for special days in advance, tuck them away in the cabinets. Just make sure that you're not bringing home anything unhealthy, because again, this is your first line of defense. And one more tip, if it's hard for you to go to the grocery store and you feel like once you get in there, you want to purchase everything, it can be really good to, if you're able to do deliveries, do grocery delivery. And that way you can very carefully select your foods on the grocery delivery apps, and you can make sure that before you push that button, there's no garbage on there, there's no bad stuff. Versus walking by it in the store like, I'll just pick this up, then I'll pick up that. So it just makes it easier to do. And also it's really good for financially wise. It helps you to save. It may be, and there may be some fees. There may be some extra fees associated with grocery delivery, but depending on how much you're not picking up when you walk down the aisle, you might actually be saving a good bit in the long run. So to enjoy easy, healthy meals at home, it helps to cook all your grains and legumes in bulk. This would also require investing in some larger storage containers. I suggest glass so that you don't have any of the plastic chemicals leaching into the food over time. And make sure that you buy plenty of ready-to-eat fruits so that once they're ripe, you can just refrigerate them, and whenever you're ready to eat them, you can just grab a snack and go. It's simple. Another tip is to plan to blend up lots of breakfast smoothies each week. And that means lots of frozen fruits. You can even pre-package them in the freezer so that they are already pre-mixed, and all you have to do is just toss them in the blender. It's also really easy to steam some veggies for lunch and for dinner. And then it's just as simple as cooking a few veggies for lunch and dinner, and that you can pair with those grains. And then you just pick up the whole fruit and you're on your way. As much as is possible, I encourage you to avoid cooking with oils. And this is something that's healthier for us, obviously, but it also makes things much easier to clean, which means, especially if you're cooking without oil, that it's really just as simple as rinsing out the container for cleanup. All right, so then there's the healthy meals outside of the house. It can be a little bit more of a challenge, but it's not impossible. So you'll want to frequent places with healthy whole plant options. Places like Qdoba, Chipotle, Kava, Mezza, if you have these things in your area. Most Indian food buffets will have some type of vegetarian or vegan options. Chinese food, you just have to be mindful of the oils though. Their veggie-based sushis can be really helpful and really good, as well as some oven-baked pizza shops that, cook things from scratch, that make things from scratch. So you may not always have control over where you're going and where you're dining. So it's always helpful to just order the plant-based sides a la carte so that you can stick with your healthy eating. And in case you're someplace where there's really just no options that you're interested in, then it's always a good idea to have some healthy food bars within your reach, in your purse or in your pocket, or just have them in the car if it's like something you can do in your climate that's going to be able to be shelf stable. And then there's my favorite option, which is a part of my Enjoying Dream Experiences workbook and classes, which is to just get creative and recreate those healthy meals at home. So recreate kava, recreate your chipotle, recreate the healthy meals at home in a baked version or with less oil, etc. And another sneaky way of doing it is to get a very small portion of the thing that you like, especially things you can mix together, like a small portion of the Chinese food, then get a bunch of rice and a bunch of extra broccoli and kind of add that in to stretch out some of the oils, but also to stretch out the flavor. And then you can enjoy that. You can get the flavor, but without the extra calories as well. And that way you're not eating just a small amount, but you get plenty. It's just plenty without the extra oils. So if you'd like more tips on eating healthy, or if you could use guidance with any of these 12 healthy habits, then just know I'm here to guide you. And you can find more details on my website, which is trulythrivinglives.org. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope you have a blessed day. Hello, and welcome to my food and fitness class. Today's topic is the best way to lose weight, to tone, and to get healthy. So our goal for today is to find out what could be stalling our fitness goals and to find out what could get you results. So while we're together today, we'll look at what diets could be part of the problem. We'll talk about some counterproductive exercises, how to avoid sabotaging your fitness goals, some habits to improve your bill of health, some effective exercises for weight loss, and how to see toning results. So as far as diets that are a part of the problem, any diets that still include high fat and high oily foods, things like, yes, processed meat substitutes, fried vegan foods, meat and dairy, yes, even the lean ones, diets like these can be a part of the problem because they replenish the fat that we were trying to burn. Of course, everyone says everything in moderation, but eating in so-called moderation, if it worked, then we'd all be fit and healthy by now. So we have to be honest with ourselves. As nice as it sounds, moderation may not be the thing. So now let's take a look at some exercises that are counterproductive. You would think that all exercises would be helping the situation, but too much high impact exercises, like high impact things like CrossFit, long marathons, they can be really hard on our joints, on our knees and our back. We're gonna need these joints when we get older. And the more high impact exercise, the greater the injury. So since it's gonna be harder to stay fit and active when we have an injury or if we have some aching joints, we want to make sure that we do what we can now to avoid that in the future. Then there's the opposite. There's the ultra low impact exercises, like lifting a 2-pound weight or walking in a slow strolling pace. Exercises like this, they just don't have enough intensity and weight to really be effective. There's also irregular exercise, which is basically getting a really good workout in once a week, but not really moving and being sedentary for the rest of the week. That's not going to produce any noticeable results in any reasonable amount of time. So moving our bodies daily is what's best. Not necessarily going harder than gym, but living life to the fullest, moving around, going on walks in the midst of the day, and even dancing the night away. And especially dancing the night away, because dancing is a very good exercise. To avoid sabotaging your fitness goals, it's good to have your workout clothes ready, to have the clothes purchased and clean and where they need to be. So that's your workout clothes, but it's also good to have a wardrobe that you feel comfortable exercising and staying active in throughout the day. Because who's gonna really wanna take a walk in that tailored suit? Probably no one. So if you can, especially us ladies, consider trading the suit for a very professional, breathable dress that you can stay cool in the summer and get a nice, good walk in outside. It's also good to have good shoes ready, to have good walking shoes in place in your car, etc., so that whenever you see a really nice path, you can just go ahead and hop out the car or jump off the bus, whatever. Just have something, some nice, good washing shoes. You can have some nice, good footbed sandals in your purse, in the bus, whatever it might be. Just make sure you're able to get a good walk in and move around whenever the opportunity presents itself. And let's be honest, we're gonna wanna have deodorant ready everywhere we go. Because when you're more active, you're gonna sweat, so you wanna have the deodorant ready and a sweat cloth ready, so that wherever you go, you can feel comfortable getting your exercise in, and then you can freshen up after. So some really good habits to improve your bill of health are eating mostly plants, things like fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes. That's because plants contain either no or zero cholesterol, salt, processed sugars, etc., things that could worsen things like heart disease and high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. And I talked more about that in the last class if you're interested. So another habit to improve your bill of health is living a fully active lifestyle, not just on your walk at lunch, but also moving around all throughout the day. So making sure that you're standing, if you're able to, moving around while you're working, that you get off the couch and go and move about during the commercial breaks, that you're taking the stairs whenever possible and parking further away so that you have a little bit more of a walk. And especially taking time to turn on some good music and just dance for like an hour or so at night. So obviously toxic chemicals are not going to help our bill of health, so we want to avoid chemicals. Things like carcinogens, which are known to cause cancer, are in a ridiculous amount of the things that we eat and the skincare products that we use. That includes our cleaning products, our clothes, like the fabric itself, or the dyes, our household furniture. So I encourage you to take some time, do some research, and try to reduce the amount of chemicals that are on and around you so that you can reduce your chance of especially the environmentally caused, unnecessarily caused cancers. And of course, if you'd like more help with that, I do have a workbook and some classes for chemical-free products. So some effective exercises for weight loss. Walking is actually a really good one, especially when you make it a very brisk walk and make it a regular part of your daily activities. I say activities, not just once, but several walks a day. Also, instead of going to a restaurant or sitting down in the sedentary movie theaters, try going for a hike. Hikes on paved roads or on dirt roads can be really good exercise. Hikes on paved roads and on dirt roads can be very good exercise, and they're just really good and very uplifting to just be out in nature. There's also interval training. This is basically just a fancy term for a pattern of high and low intensity exercise. So it could be a back and forth between walking and jogging, or it could be going between jogging and running, or it could be between running and sprinting, or it could be between strolling and a brisk walk. So interval training burns more calories per hour than a consistently median level workout. And more calories burned means that we're actually taking time to use up that fatty fuel that our bodies naturally store up, and they have now a chance to be used. Calisthenics. Calisthenics is another fancy word. It just means that we're using our own body weight for resistance when doing strength training exercises. So that means things like push-ups, squats, you can do pull-ups at a playground, things like that. So if you're trying to tone and you want to see toning results, chances are you already have great toning results. But it might be that all those amazing results are just hiding underneath of a little bit of fluff. So the best way to see toning in your core, your biceps, your thighs, whatever it might be, is to lose more of the layer of weight that's on top. And by eating mostly plants and staying very active throughout the entire day, you can burn off the fluff and you can finally see your results. All right, thanks again for attending, and I hope you have a blessed day. Hello. Mama. Hey, baby. Hello, and welcome to my food and fitness class. Mama. Yes, that's my mama. Hello, and welcome to my... you just want to say it. Are you trying to introduce yourself? Mama. Hello, and welcome to my food and fitness class. Today's topic is to stay active each day and to enjoy it. I appreciate your attending. My name is Andrea, and I'll be guiding you through today's class. Hello, and welcome to my food and fitness class. Today's topic is how to stay active each day and to enjoy it. So our goal today is to discover fitness tips that can help keep you moving and things that you can look forward to. So while we're together, we'll find a better time to exercise. We'll do our best to minimize the need for willpower. I'll give you tips for some cardio and some toning exercises that you can look forward to, and also ways to have equipment available that's convenient. We want to minimize the need to have willpower by having exercises that are already a part of your day. That way you won't have to have willpower to try to drag yourself into the gym. You can just connect each exercise to the activity that you're already doing throughout the day so that it'll happen automatically. No willpower necessary. So enjoy a walk. Whenever you call a friend or you're talking with someone, that's when you go out and you just enjoy a walk. Same thing if you're ever listening to a podcast or if you are on hold for something for a long time, take yourself a walk. Use that as an automatic opportunity to get some exercise. And one of my favorites is just dancing the night away at home. Getting some music, turning it on, and making it feel like a night out while you're just dancing at home, getting great exercise, and having fun at the same time. So those are the cardio exercises you can look forward to. Now for some toning exercises. So you can do things like push-ups, squats, high knees, and what I call countertop dips. While you're waiting for commercials or while you're on hold for a call, you can do these things while you're waiting for the microwave to cook. You can just get creative with it. As far as that equipment that can be convenient and available for you, that's where the whole calisthenics comes in. I talked about that in the last class a little bit, where you use your own body weight to do your exercises. So you can use your own body weight for equipment. So you can do push-ups, squats, hip thrusts, things like that. You can even use the playground. If you have a neighborhood playground or a public park or a bench, you can use these things in order to make like an inclined push-up, etc. And if you have hard floors, you can just use your couch or your bed or a few pillows for things like hip thrusts to make it more comfortable. And then you can even use water jugs. Just go get a $1 water jug and use that as a kettlebell. And just use that to get some good exercises in. Now, of course, the jug is going to be heavy. I would suggest if you don't think you can lift all that, please, please, please don't use a huge whole jug, or use something smaller, a half gallon, a fourth gallon, whatever it might be. So you may have noticed earlier that I said that my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits in order to enjoy a better quality of life. So then healthy food and fitness is just one of the 12. We embrace all these healthy habits so that we can have less bad habits to sabotage our efforts to obey God, and more good habits to support our success as we live to do all that Yahweh has called us to do. So for all these healthy habits, I offer guidance via videos, workbooks, classes, and support groups to help you implement and stick with each habit. So if you could use more guidance for this or any of the 12 healthy habits, just know that I'm here to guide you, and you can find more details on my website, which is trulythrivinglives.org. All right, so I'd love to know, how did you enjoy today's class, and what questions do you have for me? You can let me know in the comments below, or if you'd like, you can save your questions for support group or for coaching. Either way, I look forward to supporting you more along your journey. All right, thank you again for attending. I hope you have a blessed day.